think now's a good a time to any to kick this off. So first of all, thank you everybody that's in attendance. We are in a weird time right now, but this is a perfect opportunity for those of you that haven't already transitioned to the from in-home sales model to remote selling. Have some excellent panelists that are going to be joining me, starting with Chris Kennedy. He is a former colleague of mine and director over at PayPal for business development. He's going to give us a rundown of the actual techniques of transitioning from in-home to virtual selling. We also have DJ Strader here, a representative from Solo, that's actually going to show you an excellent tool that you might want to consider using in this transition over.
Thanks, Eric.
Yep. All right. So before we get in, let's just address the elephant in the room, if you will. The pandemic's a real thing. It's affecting everybody out there. The one thing that we want all of our solar pros out there to know, you are essential business. You are part of the essential infrastructure that keeps this country going. In fact, last Friday from the California Solar Initiative, there was this language that they put out that specifically called us out. Prior, it was kind of ambiguous and it was just about energy in general. But this section right here can really empower you in having confidence that when you're talking with your customers, when you're talking with your people, that yes, their job is essential, and yes, we're going to keep moving the ball forward. So I'll read it for you. Workers supporting the energy sector through renewable energy infrastructure included, but not limited to wind, solar, biomass, hydrogen, ocean, and geothermal, and hydroelectric, including those supporting construction, manufacture, transportation, permitting, operation maintenance, monitoring, and logistics. I don't know about you, but that sounds like it covers the full gamut of what our industry is all about. To further equip you folks and our people, we actually drafted this letter. So in the event anybody needs that extra boost of confidence, they can carry this letter around with them. This is something that our CEO drafted with HR for our employees to carry with them if they're ever stopped for whatever reason while doing their essential job, that they can pull out, show, and give them confidence to keep going. We recommend that you do something like this if you have any doubts or hesitation. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to CK, and he's going to take it from here. Let me stop sharing my screen.
Thanks, E.
Yep.
Appreciate it, buddy. Thanks,
Appreciate
everybody,
you.
for joining. What do you guys think of my new digs? Do we like it? All right.
We're all on lockdown, right?
Everybody's on lockdown? All right, cool. I thought it was a funny joke. But let's go ahead and let's keep it a little bit more professional. Get the saw. I love it. I love it. Let's keep it a little more professional. I'm gonna transition over into my office. There we go, guys. So really super grateful that you have all decided to join today. And I wanted to share a few things with you that I think will really help during this time, weird and challenging times that we have in front of us right now. Many of us are sales professionals who are used to closing customers face to face. We love that interaction. We thrive off of it. We like helping it. We like to see the excitement in their faces. So as I share this with you, just understand there's a few things that are going to be slightly different, but nothing necessarily has to be harder. So first things first, we're just going to run and dive into a couple of the things that are super common that we hear that are essentially myths. So let's just discuss those. Let's keep this. Let's keep it super open here with our dialogue. Selling over the phone, first of all, can be just as successful as an in-home consultation. Now, you have to be prepared, and you prepare for the in-home consultation and the virtual consultation a little bit differently. So there are some differences, but the success measures can be the same. One of the things I want to make sure that we highlight is you're going to have the most amount of success when you're doing a virtual presentation if you have whoever the decision makers are who need to be involved in the entire process, not just pieces or components of the process. You want to make sure that you really eliminate as much buyer's remorse as you possibly can and make connections in the best way that you possibly can with your homeowners. So what we're going to be focusing on is primarily Resi. As we focus in on Resi, oh, look at that. I'm going to mute whoever that was. As we focus in on specifically residential, um, residential installations. The reason that I'm here with you today is because of the experience that we have in call center and in inside sales specifically. So to share a little bit of our experience here at LoanPal and the reason why we feel like we can share some of these best practices with you. First of all, I've got 15 years of inside sales experience. Um, there's some that I have as a director of onboarding for the inside sales team at Solar City and at Paramount Solar, and then also as a regional sales manager for inside sales with Paramount Solar as we were building, growing, and scaling that company. Um, I have some amazing colleagues, some folks that I work with every single day that help us put together this training for our teams based on the experience that we have had in the past and a lot of the things that we did to bump our heads against the wall while we were learning how to do this elegantly. So Emily, Cody, and Dustin we're all involved in the creation of this content and all have a tremendous amount of expertise in the inside sales and solar specific inside sales industry. So that's my hey, this is why I'm here team. Um, just a few other thoughts on that. At the peak of our inside sales productivity, we were the largest, most successful inside sales team in the nation. Um, we had about 1,500 inside sales professionals doing 100% web-based communication, just like we are doing today. And that converted to a new homeowner upgrading their homes to solar power about once every 20 or 30 seconds. So that's all. That's enough about the background and history. Let's dive into it. Let's talk a little bit about the specifics that we're going to cover. I definitely recommend that you take some notes. It'll help cement some of the conversation that we're having. So please do take some notes if you're able. Obviously, if you're driving or you're in an environment where it's not safe to do that, don't take the notes. This is going to be recorded and you can listen back to it afterwards. So the things that we're going to discuss today are the preparation for the phone consultation itself. What do you need to do in order to be prepared? Then we're going to talk a little bit about the technology that you can leverage in order to have the most successful presentation that you possibly can have. One of the really weird things about phone sales that's different from when you're sitting across from somebody that we noticed with sales professionals who were transitioning from a face-to-face environment to an environment where they were selling over the phone is they oftentimes talked through the sale. So we're going to show you and teach you just a little bit about using silence to your advantage to get customers to take the next step and commit to action. We're going to do something called a virtual walk around. Now, most of the sales professionals that we have on the call with us today, you probably, when you're in person with a homeowner and you're actually at their home, you're probably walking around the home with them. If you're not, this may feel a little bit different for you, but it's definitely a way that you can bring yourself right down into the home using some of the technology that's available, and it's super simple and free. And then I hate this language, beating up the bill, but we all know that nobody cares about a solution to a problem that they don't have. So really what we're going to do is we're going to focus in on the problem and how to identify the problem with the homeowner while you're at a distance from them, where you normally may, be writing on their actual physical bill right next to them. We're going to just walk through what that looks like in a virtual environment. And then last but not least, we want to make sure that you understand there's a couple of different times when you can pull credit for your customer and have your customer complete a credit application during the course of a consultation. We want to talk a little bit about what it's like to stage that and give you a talk track for getting credit done, because that's a critical component. And we want to make sure that we address that as well. To help you close more sales and get more business done during this odd and ever-changing time. So let's just dive into some pre-call preparation so that we can really clearly outline some of the steps that may be slightly different from an in-home presentation. The first thing is, and this might not be different, if you're not doing this now with an in-home presentation, I'd encourage you to do it anyway. But sending an email to the customer before you ask them to meet, The reason you want to do that is A, you want to make sure that you have a good email address for them. B, you're probably going to be getting a copy of their utility bill ahead of time. We're going to advise you to do that so that you can dig in and see what rate plans they're on, things along those lines. And then C, uh, if your customer needs to download an app like Zoom, you'll cut down on that upfront awkwardness while they're trying to get themselves prepared for the phone call that you're on. If you actually give them a little bit of advance notice, tell them exactly what they're going to need to do ahead of time, and set the stage for how the consultation is going to flow. Be an expert in their utility rate plans and offerings. This is absolutely the same as if you were standing right in front of a customer. Doesn't matter. You still want to be an expert in the actual utility rates that are available, the time of use programs that are available, the post solar options that are available, um, all the things that you know you need to be super aware of as a sales professional, talking about your competition, which in most cases is going to be the utility company itself. And then one of the things that's super difficult for us to do that I just want to highlight here is there's nothing more annoying than being on a call with somebody when they're not paying attention to you. So I understand we all have emails, there's pressing issues that come up. Take the time to spend this moment with your customer, stop all other computer work so you can fully engage with them. Have your pen and pad handy so that you have your, oh, you can't see that. Have your pen and pad handy so that you have the ability to take notes when you're having these conversations. And then this is a silly one. Um, I'm going to ask this question. I know you guys can't answer me out loud right now, but if you could in the chat window, has anybody ever had a customer and the last name was so hard to pronounce, you were just scared to do it, so you never said it? Okay. I love that Allison says yes to that, because she's got one of those tough names. And I actually, when I met Allison, I was like, "Ooh, last name's a doozy. I want to make sure that I'm not mispronouncing it." So make sure that you show your customers that you care about them, and that you care enough to ask the question about their name. What's the proper pronunciation? What do you prefer to be called? All those things show that you care. They add little details to the rapport building process that you are going to have to alter a little bit when you're going through these over the phone virtual presentations. And for your sake, man, it can be super frustrating when you're trying to set up your tech on the fly. Nobody wants to, build an airplane while it's mid-flight, and that's what it can feel like if you don't have all of your technology set up ahead of time. So team, make sure that you've got all the technology that you need in order to get yourself set up with the customer and deliver your message in a way that's compelling, set up ahead of time. And that's demonstrated, by having the websites that you're going to need pulled up, Zoom that you're going to need pulled up, the utility bill pulled up, all the things that you're going to need to make the conversation flow smoothly and not get you stuck in a situation where you're frantically trying to take care of something. The other thing that we forget about on the phone is smiling comes through in your voice. So I know this is kind of silly and funny, but there's different things that you can do to help with your posture. There's different things that you can do, in terms of standing up versus sitting down, however you're able to project so that your customer understands you're excited to have this conversation with them, and you match and mirror their tone as much as possible. Let the customer know too, there's since a lot of folks at this stage will have cell phones, and I could look down. If I was taking notes, I could look down like this and I might be jotting something down. You don't know what I'm doing. You just see me looking away like I'm distracted. If you're taking notes, set the expectation with your customer that you're going to be taking notes so that they don't feel like you're looking at text messages or you've drifted off in the conversation. Making sure that there's a bunch of different technology that we're going to go over. So just we'll dig into the technology. I see some things coming through the chat window right now. We'll make sure that we address those items that are coming through the chat window. But definitely, if you're going to be on Zoom, join me, Google Hangouts. Make sure that your customer has the necessary technology ready to rock, so that you're not waiting for 15 minutes just to get the meeting started. All right. Value proposition. Now, I'll share with you something that we found that's very, very pertinent to this specific situation. Okay. So, the situation that we're in right now, we're in the middle of a pandemic, right? You guys are on a call with me right now because we're in the middle of a pandemic. It's not because you wanted to chat with CK today. This is because you wanted to make sure that you were able to offer a compelling value proposition to your customers. I would venture to say that traditionally the things that we look at when we're upgrading a home to solar power are things like energy reliability and security, saving money, going green, taking advantage of one of the most lucrative tax credits that's available, solar plus battery storage for energy reliability and security in case there's a brownout. All the different things that you could think of, all the different things that you could think of that you would normally talk to a customer about may not be as compelling as the situation that we're in today to drive action. So consider this, consider where your customer's headspace is today. Is it around saving money, or is it about security, reliability, and preparation? Is it about going green, or is it about the peace of mind they need to know, or they need to have in order to know that they aren't going to have a large bill? Understand your customer situation during this key time so that you can adjust your value proposition to be compelling enough to drive action when people are going to generally want to wait. During times like this, customers tend to fluctuate on their ability to make a decision quickly. When you have a compelling value proposition like energy security, reliability, peace of mind, independence at this point, preparation for your future, and you can get that customer to focus on those things, it will drive action more than maybe the standard value proposition you would normally have would. I'll just keep those things in mind. One of the other things that we found that it's difficult when you're having a phone conversation with somebody to build rapport. It's part of the reason why I'm actually on camera with you right now. Part of the reason why I was kind of being silly in the beginning and I was inside the 5x8 prison cell. The reason that I was doing those things is to help actually build rapport with you, so that we could connect a little bit faster. This is just a Zoom virtual background. It's kind of a silly talking point, but it's something that can be a cool talking point with the customer and help drive some initial conversation. So I want you to think about this from an aspect of you're trying to get your customer to take action. You're trying to get your customer to do something right now, and they may feel inclined to wait. So building rapport helps establish that trust. We all, as sales professionals, understand the value of building rapport. Here are some tips for building rapport while you're actually on the phone with the customer versus in person. Is your customer driving? Now, team, in the chat window, if you don't mind, please tell me just with a yes or no response, can a customer take action on your recommendation if they're driving? They can't, right? So if you're looking at this and your customer doesn't have the ability to act, there's a big difference in between the customer driving from their home to go somewhere and a customer that's driving from somewhere to come home. Identify which direction your customer's headed. Are they 5 minutes away from the house? I like Matthew Ray's answer in here. If they have a self-driving car, this might not necessarily apply. Yeah, should be a little bit more up on the times, especially considering considering the background. But still, think about this, like, is your customer prepared to take action? So do you cut the conversation off at that point? Absolutely not. You're not cutting the conversation off, but what you're doing is you're setting yourself up so the customer understands where they need to be, so that you can allow yourself the opportunity to have them take action, um, and set them up for success. Are they in the kitchen? I used to hear pots and pans banging around when I was doing phone calls over the phone. I would hear pots and pans banging around, or customers would be cooking, and I'd ask them. I'd be like, "Hey, what are you cooking for dinner tonight?" Even if they didn't say that they were cooking dinner, I was like, "Hey, well, what are you cooking for dinner tonight?" They're like, "Oh, it's a polite way to say, are you engaged? Are you ready to have this conversation?" If they share with you what you're having for dinner, be like, "Cool, I don't want dinner to get cold while we're going through this conversation here. Is this the best time to talk with you about this?" So the typical way that you would do the initial consultation is going to be over the phone, right? You're having that first conversation with your customer over the phone or through email to set up the webinar type consultation. Make sure that your customer is prepared and in front of the computer. Do you hear dogs barking in the background? Are there pets meow? Are there cats meowing? Do they have a llama? I don't know. Whatever it is that you hear in the background, is there something going on in the background that you can pick up on as an audible cue that'll help you build rapport with the customer? If you're in front of the customer and you're talking like we are today, where you can actually see me and the customer can see you, um, is that um, does the customer have their cat? I was on a presentation with a group the other day, and there was this adorable cat, right, that just came into the picture and jumped up on the participant's lap. Made sure to call it out. "Oh my gosh, cat's so cute. What kind of cat do you have?" And then same thing with kids. If the children are coming into the conversation, there's a couple of different points here that um, there's a couple different styles that you can use if you have kids coming into the conversation. First of all, if you're like Mitch and I and you have a lot of kids, uh, having kids in the background, you might be able to tune them out. You don't even hear it. You don't even know that they're in the background. It's harder for you as a sales professional than it is for the person who's tuning in. But if you have a child and you can hear that they're crying in the background or they're trying to get their parents' attention, be human and just say, "Hey, it sounds like you've got a little one that's trying to get your attention right now. I want to make sure that you're not, pushing them off for me. Do you want to take a few moments right now so that you can pay them some attention, and then we can come back to this in just a second?" Like, showing them that you care, that you're a human, that you understand also gives you another talking point. Hey, how are they doing right now with the quarantine? I've got 4 kids personally. They're all home from school. My wife is like 3 quarters crazy right now because she's got these guys that are used to being away from the house for 6 or 7 hours a day, who are all in the home, wound up, these gigantic balls of energy running around the house. She's just trying to keep it together. You know, is that something that your folks are experiencing? Like, I I'm in the office today. I'm in the office today because I wanted to be here with you and I didn't want any distractions. If you're in an environment where you might have some background noise, you might have kids running in, share that with your customer. It's an opportunity to be human with them. "Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, I just wanted to let you know, I'm working from home right now because of the lockdown quarantine. I've got 4 kids and I don't have a lock on the door. So just in case you hear somebody charging in the background, just know that's just one of my kids. I'm not in a war zone. Everything's going to be fine." And then there's basement level rapport building. And I call this basement level rapport building because it's typically what we would see with sales professionals who are trying to engage a customer, to get them to start talking to them and starting to find some common ground. It's things like news, sports, and weather. When you're talking about current events today actually matter more than they would in a typical environment where we're just trying to talk to a customer about something going on in their area. Ask your customers how they're managing through this process. That's a good entry into building rapport with them. figure out exactly how your customer is managing the situation and get a gauge on whether or not you might have to overcome some objections about them being unready to take action because of the environment that we're in today. Um, a couple of other things about leveraging technology to sell remotely. So first of all, if you could, just in the chat window really quickly, is everybody able to see my screen right now? Y'all got me loud and clear? Cool, cool, cool. I'm gonna pull an image over and I want you to tell me if you guys can still see it. So did the screen change for you? Do we see the screen changed? All right, awesome. So what I've done is I've actually pulled something up through satellite imaging. Um, and what I've pulled up is the customer's home. Just use Google, pull the customer's home up. You guys are all able to see it, right? I had this pulled up in advance. The reason I had it pulled up in advance is I wanted to be able to seamlessly slide it over on the screen so I could share it with you. This is what we're going to use to do a virtual walk around with the customer. If you're not used to doing a walk around, this is going to feel super foreign. If you're used to already taking the customer out and taking them on a tour of their own property, going and looking at the main electrical panel, seeing the array locations for the solar system, this is going to feel super natural. So what this is going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to understand specifically what the customer's preferences are. Okay. You're going to be able to establish yourself as a solar expert, even though you're doing it remotely. And then you're going to find opportunities to continue diving into what's important to your customer and building rapport with them. So there's 5 main components. Remember in the beginning, I said there's some moments in here where you're going to want to write things down. This is one of those moments. Okay. The reason I'm going to share this with you, and I'm going to share some talk tracks with you around each one of these specifics, is to give you the ability to engage with the customer and just give you a quick hack on how that conversation would sound. So just like I did with you, hey, can you see my screen? Same conversation with the customer. So the first step is to take a look at your home and verify that it's going to be a good fit for solar. I just want to verify that you can see my screen. If they say no, then you've got to lean back into, okay, it looks like you're on the meeting with me right now. Sometimes that window can get buried behind other browsers and things like that. Let's make sure that you can actually see this. So you can stop your share and then get it pulled up. The other things that we're looking for, confirm you're looking at the correct house. Nothing worse or more embarrassing than designing a solar system on the neighbor's house, right? So verify that you're looking at the proper home. Hey, I understand you might not have seen the home from a helicopter, but if you've ever looked it up on Google Earth, I just want to make sure that the home that we're looking for is your home and it's the one that we're looking to look into for solar. It looks like you're the 3rd house down. You know, it looks like your neighbor has a large barn and maybe a horse corral in the back. It looks like you've got that longer driveway right off of East Sierra and there's a fence out front. It looks like whatever you can think of that help identify that the home is actually the home that the customer is living in and wants solar installed. Okay. Other things that you're looking for here when we talk about continuing to build rapport, this continuing to converse and connect around these certain points. So if you've got a customer and they've got a cool house in the country, ask them, be like, hey, this is a really cool house in the country. What made you decide to move out here versus living in the city? Or, hey, this is an awesome location. It's an awesome location. Tell me a little bit about your home and your property. Have them walk you through the things that are important to them that made them decide to live in this home. You're going to highlight those things. If the customers have like a nice outdoor area and you spot it, identify it. Tell them. It's going to allow you to continue to connect and build some rapport with the customer. In addition to that, now we're looking into explaining the best areas on the home for solar. This is important that you do before you clarify the customer's preferences. And I did this specifically for you guys to pull up a home where the front of the home is the best spot for solar. It's a due south facing roof plane. So you explain that to your customer before you tell them or before you ask for their preferences. Say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, the best spots for solar on your home really are going to be on this south side right here that's facing the East Sierra, and on the west side over here that's away from some of those taller trees. Okay. Those are just areas that you're looking into. Those are areas that you're trying to help the customer understand that it's going to be the best spots for solar before you tell them to clarify their preferences. Now you can ask them, be like, okay, so are there any spots on the home where you're opposed to having solar? Cool. All right, cool. So anything that you can do here to get away from potentially designing a system that the customer has aesthetic issues with. I think solar is beautiful. You're going to have to look at it anyway. You might as well look at it and get the benefits from it rather than look at it on your neighbor's home, because they're going to probably have it fairly soon anyway. Anywho, just my opinion, but hopefully that gives you a couple of tips and talk tracks to drive that conversation. Just pulled that up with you on Google Earth so that you can see it. Now what we're going to do is go into the utility bill discovery. The utility bill discovery is comprised of 4 separate components. The first component is helping the customer understand the problem. The next one is to explain their bill and rate schedule. So the problem with the utility companies, uh, in general is how they actually get the power to the home. So the utility companies have this massive problem. They have this gigantic infrastructure that they had to create to get the power from the power plant where it's generated to your home that's usually miles and miles away from where it's generated. So it's this massive infrastructure of sticks and wires that constantly needs to be maintained and repaired. If there's any new communities that you've ever seen, the grid needs to be expanded. And the utility company doesn't pay for that on their own. They reach out to you, the existing customer, to pay for that repair, maintenance, and expansion of the utility grid. Explain the problem to the customer so that when you present the solution to them, they're very, very clear on it. In the consultative aspect of selling, you're going to want to explain their current rate structure so that they can understand the difference. That doesn't change from anything that you're doing typically with your in-home consultation, but you're going to want to talk a little bit about where they are today and then where history has shown itself to be and any pending electrical increases using extremely credible websites. Last but not least, this is the gateway for you to start positioning your solution. Hey, so let's just go over this. Let's go over this together. When you're doing this remotely, you need to get the bill ahead of time. You can get their electric usage and rate plan from the utility companies if they have a phone line that you can call in using a 3-way call. More common and better way to do that, in my opinion, is just to leverage technology so that you can go online, have them download a PDF copy of their bill, and then ask them to share a PDF copy with their bill with you. But you need to make sure you understand how much power they're consuming. You need to make sure that they understand how they're currently being billed and that you've clearly established the problem before presenting a solution. So let's just take a look at how that may sound, and I'll go over this with y'all fairly quickly. I've got a copy of a utility bill pulled up here. Want to verify that you guys can see it, and then I'm just gonna make it a little larger here. Can everybody see my screen with the utility bill in front of me? Cool. Awesome. All right. So first things first, you're in PG&E territory, and that's who you pay for electricity today. Looks like in January, you paid about $355 for the power that you purchased from them. The way that your bill is structured, and then all you're going to do, team, is go over the way that their bill is structured. It's literally what you're doing with them right now. This is in dollars, right? And this is the kilowatt hour cost per day. Are you familiar with what a kilowatt hour is? Okay. So are you familiar with a kilowatt hour? Yeah. If they say yes, great. Awesome. So you understand a kilowatt hour is a unit of measurement for the utility company. Okay. Great. Perfect. You're asking the customer if they're familiar with it. I'm not asking you guys if you're familiar with kilowatt hour. I saw that comment in there. Everybody still able to see the screen? Just got a comment that said that we might be struggle city right now. All right, good deal. Now what you're going to do is you're going to go into some details with the customer. One of the things that many of my customers don't understand is exactly how the power bill, how you're charged for power from the utility company. So we want to make sure they understand exactly how these charges work. You're going to go over this line by line, item by item. For the sake of this call, I'm just going to walk you through super quickly. So a lot of folks feel like the power that they are buying from the utility company all comes from just the generation, the creation of the power itself. It's actually a portion of the charges, but it's not the complete charge. I'm just going to break this down for you so that you understand exactly how you're being billed today. Walk them through generation, transmission, distribution, public purpose programs. Those are programs where they reinvest in the community, they plant trees, you're paying for that stuff. Decommissioning of nuclear power plants, that happened, what, started in the early 2000s, decommissioning of power plants, you're still paying for it today. Water bond charges, that's the Department of Water Resources recovery charge for a bond that was issued. You're still paying for those today. And then the worst one, in my opinion, on here, even though the dollar amount's kind of low, competition transition charges. The utility company saying more of their customers are leaving them and they're charging the customers who are loyal to them. Okay. Wow. I just ran through that. They may never have gone through that exercise. They may never have gone through breaking down the bill. If you could get as far away from these charges as humanly possible, is that something that you would want to do? Yeah, obviously, that's why I'm having a conversation with you today. But those are good keys, tips, and techniques to make sure that you have the bill pulled up, that you can slide it over into the screen and into their view. And then if you're going to talk with them about historical rates, have a credible website pulled up and ready to go. As you're pulling up the credible website, like a .gov website, you're sharing with your customer what they can expect in their future. So if you continue to do business with PG&E, it looks like they're going to come palms up to you and ask you for more money here. And they're having these ratepayer conversations right now with the Utilities Commission, who's likely to approve these costs for them. Talk with them about rates, where rates have been historically, and get their buy-in that they feel like costs are going to go up. When you get that buy-in, the costs are going to go up, and you've done a check-in to verify that they like to get as far away from the existing utility company and charges as possible, you have got a customer who's ready to take action. Now you're going to be faced with some decision-making time. You have to decide whether at this point in time, you're going to run all the way through the process and go from start to finish with the customer on this call, or if you need to get somebody else involved so that they can't position their spouse, significant other, partner, whoever else has an interest in having solar on the home against you when you go when it comes time to close. So you set the expectation with them. The next step is to see exactly what solar is going to look like for you. And I'm super excited to share this next step with you. What we're going to do is we're going to go over exactly how much power you purchased from the utility company last year and see what will be replaced by solar power and go over all the financial benefits to it. We'll schedule this appointment so that I can actually present this to you, and we'll want anybody else who has an interest in the home ready to be on the call with us. It's best if you can be on a computer with a stable internet connection, but we can also do it on a touchscreen device as long as it's big enough where you have a clear view. You're setting the expectation. They need to be in front of a computer and they need to pull the other party in. You're going to want this phone conversation as close to the conversation about the bill as possible. And you're going to have to recap some portions of the conversation if there was anybody who's coming in and they're brand new to this situation. Okay. Then you're going to have to figure out at this stage, is this the time when I pull credit? Now, if you're gonna pull credit, what I want you guys to all do is use the chat link to send out whatever link or send out whatever tool that you'd be having the customer complete whenever possible. If you don't have the ability to use the chat tool, you've already verified that you have an email address for them that works, but stay on the line with them until they are completely and totally done with the application. Make sure your customer's in a position to buy. Get all decision makers involved. Make sure your customer clearly understands the problem before you present the solution, and eliminate any concerns that would occur if the customer had aesthetic preferences up front. Those are my tips and tricks for you. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Take a page out of the Boy Scouts book and use that preparation in these phone conversations and webinars that you're having with your customers. Team, super grateful. Thank you for allowing me to talk with you a little bit about this. I am very, very excited about what the future holds for us using virtual presentations. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and Eric is going to take over from here. Thank you so much, team.
Wow, Chris, that was phenomenal. On behalf of everybody in the chat, excellent. So again, chat, we were going to do a little bit of Q&A right now that ran a little bit long. Want to give DJ an opportunity to share with what he has for this part of the presentation. Again, CK, can't thank you enough. Everybody, this is recorded. You'll get a copy of that. So DJ, are you ready to take over and show us what you got, sir?
I am. I think I just unmuted myself.
Excellent. Okay, everybody, this is DJ from Logo. Chris was talking about all the tools. This is a tool that Soligent wants to share with you, and we have DJ here to go over all the details and how it's going to benefit you as you transition to this remote process. Go ahead, DJ.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, guys. Super appreciate what Chris was able to present. Super awesome stuff. All of that is going to be way beneficial for you guys as you try to sell in a virtual environment as opposed to, selling face to face. So as far as agenda wise for me, I just wanted to run through what Solo has to offer. I'll give a little bit of background on Solo and who we are, kind of where we came from and what we're doing in the space. And then I'll go through some of our virtual tools that we have set up here to be able to help you guys be more successful. So give me just a second. I'm going to open a couple things here. Cool. So I'm giving kind of a background on Solo. I have this sidebar open. I'm not going to have enough time to go through all of our dynamic features, but this will give you guys a good idea of what we have to offer and what the sales reps can actually change and upgrade in the home on the fly. As far as Solo and who we are, back in the day, we were a company called Evolve. We were actually a direct sales dealer for Solar City. Excuse me. And did quite well for them. We sold about 13,000 accounts for them, mostly on the East Coast that we sold and installed. Back in the day, that was pretty popular for sales organizations to be purchased. We were eventually purchased by SunEdison. And as many of you guys know, they made some lofty choices. And after a while, about 6 months after our acquisition, they actually folded, which was bad news for us. Good thing for us between Solar City and SunEdison is that we were able to work closely with development departments and had proprietary software that we were using to improve our sales experience with our sales reps in the homes. After SunEdison went under, we had to wait about a year before we restarted up a sales organization, which we called Encore, and then started using that proprietary software with a few of our dealerships that we had set up, and then decided to break off and start our own software company called Solo. And we had some pretty early success. We went from day one, having 1 or 2 clients that were producing about 50 to 100 proposals per month, to this last month we did 27,450 something unique proposals for our solar clients, and have about 200 solar clients throughout the United States, and operate in about 37 or 38 different states. So we've had a ton of success. Namely, we are a back office solution company for the solar and contractor industry, but we primarily focus on solar proposals. That's what we're really good at. As far as our solar tool, it's less and less of a proposal tool, and it's more of a sales conversion tool, which I think is really going to help you guys in the field as you guys start virtually selling and selling over the phone. It'll make a huge difference and impact in your conversion and your line of business that you guys are currently have with your leads that are coming in and the way that your sales guys are making sales. On average, we've seen a company that switched over to Solo increase their conversion by about 11% on the low end to as high as 18% on the high end. By creating all the dynamic features in our proposal, we've really created a way that people can sell virtually over the phone without having to be in front of a customer. The main feature is our share feature, which let me move this chat a little bit down so I can access it. So if you click the share button, everything here in this proposal link that the sales rep is working with is dynamic. He can go into this sidebar, he can change pricing, he can put in adders, he can do incentives, he can sketch stuff out for the customer, all kinds of things that he can do live in real time when he's normally with a customer. But he certainly wouldn't want to share that with his customer without being there with them. So we created the share/present feature where he could just put in a phone number here and text them over a dynamic link, or he can email them over, a static link, or email them over a static link. That way they can both pull that up on their screen. He has access to the dynamic link, he can make all these changes, and then in real time, the customer can see those changes just as if they were in a Zoom conference or a Google Hangouts conference without having the need to have any additional software or how to connect to the link or have a login or anything like that. And then likewise, for all of our contractors, they don't have to worry about paying any additional money for any type of software. They can be able to communicate directly with their customers right here in this link. So if I were to go in here as a sales rep and change pricing and put in a new price, say I want to be a little bit competitive with another bid that they got, I could put in 335, click save, and then my consumer would be able to see that exact same change in the pricing metrics down here at the bottom on their proposal. It also highlights the features that are changed, so they have a really clear way to understand what the sales rep is changing in real time as they go through the proposal itself. So it's been really cool. These are features that we've had for a while. Given the current circumstances with COVID-19, we've actually upgraded them quite a bit just to kind of improve the experience of the sales reps and the contractors that we work with. And a lot of our top companies are actually using these features today, so they don't have to have sales reps actually go out to the home. And then likewise, it's proven to be a little bit more efficient of a process. If you have a lead that comes in, you can have your sales rep set up back-to-back appointments, as opposed, when he was going to face-to-face appointments, he would have to drive, 30 minutes to an hour, sometimes more in California, between those two appointments to be able to present to them. With this, he could just do it over the phone, save that additional time, maybe get 1 or 2 appointments extra in per week that he normally would have been traveling for, and an extra 1 or 2 sales per month, can really increase your top end revenue. Right now, I want to go through just kind of our top 3 features that we have on the platform that also helps with sales conversion. One of those is we actually partner with a couple of different imagery sources. We partner with Nearmap as a primary imagery source. We have some things in the hopper with Eagle View that we're coming out with later this year. And we also partner with Google, actually through a relationship that we have with Soligent, which is really awesome, to be able to pull in TSRF right into the proposal tool. So if I get my proposal made and I'm sitting with my customer and I need to make some changes on the layout or the production value, I can click this edit button. I can go into my full layout of all the panels that have been placed on the home. We normally recommend going with a max layout of the house. Anything I click and unclick will activate and deactivate based on preferences of the sales rep and the homeowner. I can actually overlay TSRF right on the house, so I can see the best places to put solar panels, and I can turn those on and off as needed. Anything that I save here is going to show on the proposal itself. So when I share maybe a hard copy or a static link of this in the future, it'll show that new layout design. That's been really popular because it allows sales reps to get one single proposal, and then they can make adjustments and changes to that as they see fit. If they wanted hard copies of each of those, they can make some changes, go into export to PDF, and they could do that, a couple dozen times if they really needed to, and produce as many proposals as they wanted with each individual client without having to come back to us or an internal resource to get additional proposals made. So it really helps them in the home to make changes on the fly. And then instead of selling kind of this static bid, that they hope that the homeowner buys into, they can really option close with the homeowner and get, build the system that they're actually interested in buying, and that makes a huge difference. Another really cool feature is our checkout options. We've partnered with key lenders in the industry. LoanPal has been a great partner of ours, really early adopter actually as well. I think we're going on maybe 2 or 2.5 years that we've been partners with him. Early on, we built in their API as well as many other lender APIs into our system. So once we get to a point where, the customers, they're good with the solar offset, they're good with any upgrades and the pricing, all of that, they can actually click on this qualify button, fill out some basic information, and run credit right here on the proposal, and even send loan docs right from the proposal. So they put in basic information, click send to the bottom, which is super easy, click submit. This call will come back in about 30 seconds from LoanPal that says approved with stipulations, or denied. If there's stipulations, we'll actually list those out here on the proposal itself. So if they needed to get like a picture of their license or their latest pay stub, the sales rep can continue to do that with them right over the phone. And before he hangs up a call, he can make sure that he has everything he needs to move forward with LoanPal. Once we do get an approval, a little button pops up that says send docs, and he can do that right from the proposal itself. So it makes it super easy. Another really cool feature that people really like and is becoming more popular is the industry. Solar has become more dynamic itself, and people are selling more upgrades and adders and batteries, home improvement items. We work with several companies that even now focus on home improvement. We have a large group of roofers as well that use our tools to upsell solar and on top of a roof sale. And we made it really easy for people to add those types of upgrades on the proposal. Here's a couple of examples. We've baked in probably 30 to 40 different upgrades. And on each of these, they have a price point and a solar offset that's tied to them. So it really reduces the amount of training that you have to do to your sales reps. All they really need to do is just click a button, and then it'll apply. As well for the homeowner on their end, when they see this change, they can see, oh, LEDs, that looks like a good deal. It's only $4 more. It saves me an additional 4%, 6%, whatever it is on my solar offset. I'm good to go. Any ancillary items, things that are not really like sales items, but things that you want to be able to include in the solar package, like a service upgrade or an MPU, or maybe you have to do trenching. All of those are hidden over in the sidebar because they're still necessities, but they're not really things front and center that you would actually sell your customer. Equipment, you can change equipment, go back and forth between the equipment suite that you guys want your sales reps to be able to be selling, as well as inverters. An important thing in California and Arizona is you can change pre and post rate plans. And then the last feature I'll probably go over because of time is our docs request. Down here in the loan qualification, you can send all of the lending documents from this, but you still need to get over all of your installation agreements and your NEM agreements and things of that nature. And we've set it up so that you can easily do that just in this docs request button. Choose the name of the applicant or person that owns the home, fill out the rest of these, and then you can just click request docs. That's going to hit our DocuSign API, and then quickly get back to the homeowner, to the email that we have on file here, and allow the sales rep to kind of walk through those with them over the phone. The sales rep gets a copy too, so they can both be looking at them at the same time to get those executed. So really kind of as a circumstance of the dynamic features that we've been building over the last 2 years, we've really set up a lot of our current clients for success to be able to sell dynamically over the phone without the need or use of an external software or conferencing tool, and allows at the end of that conversation allows the homeowner to have a hard copy of all the changes the sales rep made during that sales process, as well as check out with anything else that he needs to do. One last quick thing I'll show you guys is that if you do a lot of cash deals, you can actually pay cash through our ACH and credit card fulfillment center. We can set you guys up as a payment processor so that you guys can take cash over the phone as well, or checks over the phone. And that's not a pass through, that will go straight into your guys' account. But a lot more going on with the proposal tool. We customize these tools for your team. We white label them. We make them, make them show your brand as best we can, how you want to be represented in the home. And as far as SLAs, we've got two SLAs right now. We might be adding on a third here in the near future, but we have a real-time proposal that we get back and can even get back to the sales rep while he's on the phone with them. Those normally come back in about 5 to 10 minutes. And then we have a 24-hour turnaround time as well for people that are setting up appointments, which is probably ideal in this environment, or they just don't need the proposal back right away. A lot of times those will get back to the sales rep before that 24-hour time is up. But I've also got just some contact information here that I'll pull up if I can move this out of the way.
Hey, DJ, it's Eric. We'll definitely share your contact information.
Cool.
But one thing I really was impressed when we spoke before, if you could talk a little bit about the chat tool between the sales rep and the presenter, I think our installers could really benefit from that.
Yeah, so when you order a proposal and when you're logged in on our platform, we actually we have a whole CRM platform that you'll order these from, but it's not really ideal for sales reps to be on, just hanging out in the CRM while they're trying to present and sell. So when you're logged into the platform, I'm unfortunately on a demo that doesn't have this activated. I can click this little chat icon here in the top left-hand corner, and oh, there it goes. And then it'll actually activate my chat. Once I order a proposal, I'm pretty much hand in hand with a designer the entire time that I'm selling this tool. So anything that I type in here is going to go directly to my my designer on hand with me, and anything they type back to me is going to come back to me in real time. Another way to do this is that sales reps can opt in to text messaging. If they're going through the walkthrough of their home, or they're talking about something different or have a different slide up, they can actually get a text message as well, letting them know that we're communicating with them. And we've got an update or an answer to a question or whatever it might be. So really everything is baked into this proposal tool. This is all they need to present a deal, to close a deal, and to get over all the documents to fund a deal as well and have it move forward through NTP.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, go ahead and share your information here. Jamie, it looks like we are pretty short on time, but if there are one or two questions that we can ask our presenters here, DJ or Chris, we have a little bit of time for a couple questions. So if Jamie, if you could pick one or two questions out of the chat and ask our presenters.